Game 2 of the WNBA Finals was supposed to be the night A'ja Wilson reminded everyone why she was the face of the league, the reigning MVP, the golden standard of women's basketball. But instead of electric energy and roaring fans, she was met with rows of empty seats and an eerie quiet that filled the arena like a bad omen. The lights were bright, the stakes were high, but the atmosphere was hollow. What should have been a defining moment for the Las Vegas Aces turned into a silent indictment of a league struggling to capture the public's attention without one crucial name: Caitlin Clark. When the cameras panned across the stands, the truth couldn't be hidden. Dozens of empty rows, scattered fans, and ticket prices dropping as low as $35 for what was supposed to be the biggest night of the year. Broadcasters avoided wide shots, trying not to reveal how empty it really was. Even the pregame energy felt forced, music blaring through the speakers, dancers performing in front of people who weren't there to clap. It didn't feel like a championship atmosphere. It felt like an audition in front of an uninterested audience. A'ja Wilson could feel it too. The silence wasn't just awkward, it was insulting. She spent years being the league's standard bearer, yet now, even in the finals, the cheers were faint and the cameras seemed hesitant to linger. That frustration bubbled to the surface when Wilson snapped in a post-game comment, venting that fans don't care about the games anymore, only the drama. And though she didn't say the name out loud, everyone knew who she was thinking about: Caitlin Clark, the rookie phenom from Indiana who wasn't even in the building but still dominated the conversation. Clark's absence wasn't just noticeable, it was haunting. Every fan, every reporter, every social media post seemed to orbit around the same realization. When Caitlin Clark doesn't play, people don't watch. The numbers proved it. Games featuring Clark sold out arenas across the country, with tickets selling for hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars. But the finals, without her, couldn't fill half the seats. The WNBA's biggest stage suddenly looked small. Online, fans were ruthless. Screenshots of empty stands went viral within minutes. Posts mocked the finals as the most exclusive event no one wanted to attend. One fan even wrote, "You could hear the ball bounce from your couch." The contrast was painful. When Clark played, arenas shook. When she didn't, the silence was deafening. For Wilson, that truth cut deep. Her hard work, her dominance, her leadership, it all seemed invisible compared to the tidal wave of interest Clark brought in her rookie year. As the game dragged on, Wilson's body language told a story of its own. Missed shots, tight lips, towel slams. She wasn't just battling the Connecticut sun or the scoreboard. She was fighting the ghost of Caitlin Clark's shadow. Each roarless basket seemed to echo her frustration. How had the league's biggest star found herself playing in front of thousands of empty chairs while a rookie sitting at home in Indiana was trending worldwide? Commentators tried to save face. They praised defense, strategy, fundamentals, but fans online weren't fooled. "Nobody's watching this," one post read. "It feels like preseason." And then came the polls, brutal reminders of the reality the WNBA was facing. One viral survey showed that only 4% of fans planned to watch the finals. 96% said no. The message couldn't have been louder. Without Caitlin Clark, there was no show. Even as Wilson tried to stay composed, she couldn't escape the conversation. Clips of her frustration were clipped, edited, and memed across social media. "A'ja realizing no one's watching," one caption read, as a slow zoom camera caught her scowling after a missed rebound. It wasn't just embarrassing, it was career-defining. The more Wilson showed emotion, the more people mocked it. And as cruel as it was, those memes became more popular than the finals themselves. But this wasn't just about one bad night. It was about a shifting power dynamic in the league. For years, players like Wilson, DeWanna Bonner, and Alyssa Thomas carried themselves as the torchbearers of women's basketball, competitive, confident, outspoken. Yet that confidence had curdled into something fans increasingly saw as arrogance. When Wilson vented about respect, when Thomas scowled at refs, when Bonner clashed with opponents, fans didn't see passion anymore. They saw ego. Meanwhile, Clark's humility, accessibility, and focus on the game made her feel like the people's champion. The more the veterans pushed back against her hype, the more fans drifted away from them. Inside WNBA headquarters, the panic was palpable. Viewership numbers released the next morning were catastrophic. Ratings had dropped more than half since the semifinals, the very series Clark had been part of. What was supposed to be the culmination of the season now looked like a collapse. The league's proudest night had turned into its most humiliating. The once celebrated new era of women's basketball had evaporated the moment Clark's season ended. Kathy Engelbert, The WNBA commissioner, who had spent months taking victory laps for record-breaking attendance and TV ratings, suddenly went silent. No statements, no reassurances, nothing. And that silence only fueled the fire. Fans began calling her out directly, accusing her of hiding from accountability. She was loud when Clark was selling tickets, one user wrote. But quiet now that her stars can't fill the stands. Others mocked the WNBA's past claims of sold-out games, posting screenshots of the finals' half-empty arena with captions like, "Invisible fans must be stuck in traffic." Even sponsors started getting nervous. They hadn't invested in the WNBA because of its politics or personalities. They invested because Caitlin Clark was bringing viewers. Without her, the product suddenly looked broken. Corporate partners who had spent millions on ads and endorsements were reportedly demanding meetings, wanting to know how the league planned to recover from the finals fiasco. Behind closed doors, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver was said to be furious. The NBA had long propped up the WNBA financially, and this embarrassment reflected back on him. Reports suggested Silver had ordered a comprehensive review of the WNBA's leadership and marketing strategy, a polite way of saying changes were coming. The league's credibility, its reputation, even its funding were all suddenly in question. And through it all, A'ja Wilson stood at the center of the storm. The MVP, the champion, the face of a league now being mocked for irrelevance. She had every reason to feel betrayed by the fans who left, by the media that shifted focus, by a system that had once celebrated her and now treated her like yesterday's news. But the truth was more painful. The WNBA had finally found a superstar who transcended the sport, and her name wasn't A'ja Wilson. It was Caitlin Clark. By the end of Game 2, it wasn't the scoreboard that told the story. It was the silence. The crowd had vanished, the league's leaders had gone quiet, and the conversation had moved on. Wilson had dominated on the court for years, but she couldn't dominate the narrative anymore. The finals were supposed to be her redemption. Instead, they became her reckoning. The WNBA wanted growth, but growth comes with consequences. Caitlin Clark brought millions of new eyes, but she also exposed a hard truth. That connection matters more than ego, that fans crave authenticity over attitude, and that a league built on resentment will never thrive. As the confetti fell on another title for the Aces, it didn't feel like triumph. It felt like a warning, and that's the question haunting everyone now. Can the WNBA rebuild its connection with the audience that Caitlin Clark created? Or will it keep pretending that silence means success? Because if Game 2 proved anything, it's that without the players who make fans believe, even a championship can feel empty. So what do you think? Did A'ja Wilson's frustration reflect a deeper problem within the WNBA? Are fans being too harsh? Or are they simply being honest about what they want to see? Let me know your thoughts below. And if you enjoy breaking down the drama behind the game, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.